friends, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I am so happy to have you guys here with me today. My name is Ev, and on this channel we like to talk about all things knitting, and today it is a Knits and Babbles, and I don't know why I did this, but yes, today is a Knits and Babbles, a podcast type video where we talk about everything we knit up during the month, what was casted off, what is casted on, and any yarn acquisitions. But before we hop right into that, I do want to say thank you to Luisa for partnering with me. We've partnered with them quite a few times over the past couple of months, and Luisa is one of my favorite jewelry companies. They are an eco-friendly, carbon neutral, water neutral jewelry brand, and all of their gold and silver, sterling silver, is recycled materials, 100%, which I am all here for. Their jewelry is also hypoallergenic. So for today's video, I decided to pair up my new Luisa jewelry with my favorite new finished cast off knit, which is the Sunday tee. But before we hop into that, I just want to show you the jewelry pieces I decided to pair with it. So the first off piece that I want to share with you guys is this lovely bracelet. This is the Atlas, and it is a 14 karat covered gold bracelet, and I work a desk job, so I don't like having very big clunky bracelets that cling against the desk because my arm is always, I forget that it's there. The next piece I got is this lovely little necklace. Hopefully I can show you a close-up, but this really makes me think of like those Victorian necklaces with a rose imprinted on it, and the chain is just stunning for this necklace. But yes, I got this because it gave me kind of like those Victorian vibes where it's like those ladies in the circle of the frame, and I decided to pair it with my Luisa. I got this necklace. It is just a simple little gold chain that I got a couple months ago, and I've been wearing it nonstop. This is one that I shower with. It doesn't tarnish, and it still looks just as good as the day that I got it. The last piece that I got are the mini Kinoko blue earrings, and I thought that this blue kind of marbled effect looked really pretty. And I wasn't expecting it, but it kind of dangles on its own, and I love that. So it like dingles and dangles. And if you guys want to go check them out, I highly recommend you do, and use my promo code at the checkout, knitting with Ev20, to get 20% off on your next order. Again, everything will be linked in the description down below. Now, let's hop right into. So today's first finished whip is actually my Sunday tee. This is a pattern from Petite Knit. As you guys know, we knit quite a lot of Petite Knit on this channel. So this was a pattern that I bought a couple months ago because I saw Tiffany Lou wearing the Sunday tee. She has a white one, and I thought that it was gorgeous. So I really wanted to cast this one on. And it is knit up with Gazzal Woolen Star yarn, if I'm correct, that's the name. I will link it down below. And it is knit up with 2 skeins of that wool. So this is a top down, so you knit the collar first, have a purl row at the center, fold it. So it is a very tiny, it's a pretty tiny knit collar. And then you work the increases in the round as the yoke goes down, split off for the sleeves, and then knit the body, pick up for the sleeves, and work the sleeves. One thing that is very interesting with this pattern is how the edges are knit up. This is my first time ever knitting a shirt like this. Like we did with the collar, you repeat that for the arm sleeves and for the border. So you knit the sleeve till a certain length, do 1 row of purl, knit a bit more, and then you will fold it in and sew it in afterwards. Now the sewing in was a little bit tricky to do. When you fold it over, you just hold the fabric that you knit up there, and then you sew it as a line. I was just kind of going with purl to purl to purl to purl, like eyeing out my purls in a row and sewing those, because you also don't really want, it says to seam it seamlessly, you don't want the line to show up on the other side. If you guys were following me on Instagram while we knit this up, you will know that we actually ran out of yarn at the very end. I only had 2 skeins of this lovely, I think this was like a cobalt blue, and I knew I was gonna run out, and this is a little bit of a cropped version. The sleeves are also shorter than the original pattern. I kind of now wish I had done this for all the seams, is at the bottom, I took another yarn from Gazzal. It's a merino wool and silk mix, and I put it on the inside. I knit till as far as I can go. And then I made sure that my last row, with the very little amount of yarn I had left, was a purl row. So that when I picked up with the new yarn, which is a bit of a different color, but it's still a darker blue because of the silk, I'm assuming it's a little bit lighter, I knit the purl in the original color, and then the other side I knit that in the silk, and then I sewed that in. So I now have a very interesting, I don't want to flash you. So I now have a very interesting detailed inside, and I kind of really like that look. And I think if I ever knit a shirt or sweater where it's folded, it's a folded hem, I think I'm gonna do that. I find it looks a lot more unique, kind of gives it a little flair, a little secret flair. I don't know why, to me it looks more like a legit shirt than a hand knit shirt. I don't know if I would do that for the collar, just because sometimes it might pop up, but it could be a nice little touch. So far, this shirt, we started it at the beginning of the month and we casted it off literally like I think the last day of the month. So it's a pretty simple quick knit. Again, I did cut some corners because I didn't have enough yarn, but that's okay. The increases were a lot of fun to do. I really like this kind of sun detail, like sun or sun rays. That's why, oh my God, is that why it's called the Sunday? Because it's like sun rays. Am I thinking too much? Maybe, but anyways. The next knit I want to talk to you guys about, it is actually my little pouch bag. So this is the right angle bag, and if you haven't checked out the video where we knit this up, I highly recommend you do. It was kind of like a knit with me design, but also a tutorial video, and the pattern is now available for free over on Ravelry. Again, this is the right angle bag, or you can find the pattern over on my Ko-fi account. So I highly recommend you guys go check it out. It is a free pattern. So this uses a DK weight yarn. This is the exact same yarn, the leftover yarns that I had from my right angle jacket. We have a main pocket, and then we have a little folding pocket in the front that was sewn on. You can fit your cards in here and phone in the big pocket. That is what I ideally wanted. And I got the exact same button from the fabric store that we used for the right angle jacket. This is knit flat. So you knit the front, knit the back, knit the pocket, all in separate pieces, wash and block them. And then you pick up and seam the pieces together with an I-cord to wrap it and unify the whole look. And then you pick up for the back portion, pick up as many stitches as there are there, knit the flap. I call this a flap. I don't know what this is called, but you knit the flap, pick up for the I-cord along the inside, or create another I-cord, and then you have your bag all seamed up. So what I ended up doing also for the strap, I guess the strap is up to you and what you want to do, but I basically just made a very simple I-cord. From the same fabric store, I picked up these little clasps on the side, little bag clasps, and I attached them with a very simple sew-on method, so nothing too crazy. So since we had done an I-cord for the top and the bottom, I made sure that we had a little bit, like 4 or 5 rows of I-cord just sticking out on both sides for the front and the back, so that I could then connect these two pieces to this loop, but still have it kind of like separate, like so. And I thought that that would be a better way to like hang it on the side like this. Now this bag is a knit in a garter stitch, and it is called a right angle because you knit the first square, then pick up, cast on more stitches for the burgundy, knit an L, cast on more stitches for the blue, cast on more stitches for the white, cast on more stitches for the yellow. That's why it's knit in the flat, because you can't make this in the round. However, the top flap, it is just back and forth garter stitch. This is my second pattern that is ever released. If you guys haven't also checked out, we did in the spring release a beanie pattern, a very simple, ribbed, beautiful, thick beanie. But the third and final piece that we casted off this month is another knit that has its very own video, and if you guys haven't checked that out, I also recommend you do, because it was a fun challenge that I kind of threw on myself, and it was to knit this lovely camisole. So this is the Camisole No. 6 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I have been wearing it a lot. This was knit up in Himalayan bamboo. It is a 40% cotton, 60% bamboo yarn. This is a pattern by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and how she knits most of her tank tops is you knit the straps first. So you knit the front panel till about here, the left panel, the back left, the back right, and then you connect them in the round, and then you knit the body as a tube down in the round, which I really like. I do prefer knitting tank tops and shirts in the round over bottom up. I just have a hard time gauging sizes when I knit bottom up. You end up having quite a few pieces as you knit up, but once it's all connected, it's just seamless in the round. I honestly really like this yarn, so I made the matching shorts in Himalayan bamboo as well in a blue, and it feels very, very nice. It feels very soft, and hopefully this will last me a really long time. Is that the back? Oops, that's the back. I need to put tags in my knits, because for this one I don't know which one is the front, and for this one I keep, yeah, the back is a little bit longer than the front, but I keep forgetting which goes which. And if you guys saw at the end of the video where we knit this up, I actually wore it backwards, and I only realized when I was editing. This knit is actually fairly simple, pretty easy, and it is great for beginners if you want to knit up a tank top really, really quickly. And we knit this up in a weekend. The next knit that I want to talk to you guys about is another pattern by Petite Knit. Now this is a design that we had knit previously in the past. It was the first design I made by Petite Knit, and I just don't like the shirt. I never wear it. I ran out of yarn, and I got a different yarn to finish the bottom, and I finished it to say that I finished it, because sometimes just knowing you finished something is enough. Sometimes you just want to check it off and not leave it in the frogging, never done bundle of knits. And I decided, you know what, it is time to reknit this pattern. So this is my Friday tee by Petite Knit. I love this version so much more than my previous one. I am knitting it with, I got a cone from Sanjo Silk, which is a fiber store mainly for weaving, but it is on Granville Island. And I got this lovely cone. This is 50% silk, 50% wool. So it's a lovely, nice, silky yarn, but the wool gives it a little extra fuzz that I really, really like. And then I am pairing it with this Gazzal woolen silk yarn. Now this is a lace weight, and the cone is a fingering weight. So I am using a thinner yarn for the stripes than is recommended, but I think it still works. I'm also currently knitting it on 3.25 needles, and the recommended is 3mm, so I'm knitting it on a point size bigger, but I'm making the extra small. The reason why I'm knitting it on a point size bigger is just because I couldn't find my 3mm. They're on a project somewhere. They're just somewhere, and then I don't know where. So I just decided to go a little bit bigger, and I don't think 0.25 of a millimeter is gonna change everything. We'll see. The first thing that drew me to this pattern and why I casted it on is actually the collar. It's a folded collar. So I love when shirts already have the collar knit as you're working them up. I find it just makes it look much more like a finished piece, even though the knit is still being worked. I find it just adds like a little extra oomph as you're knitting, which just makes it look a lot nicer. This pattern is very interesting because it does have a 13 stitch raglan. So it has a pretty thick raglan increase bar along the 2 bars of the front and the back. If you guys have been following me over on Instagram, you will know that we kind of struggled with this one a little bit, recasting it, because so this pattern does have short rows, and I did the German short rows at the back, which worked really, really well. And then you connect it and start knitting the front, and then you go like in the round and start working the increases. Now, where I struggled was, so it's 2 different rows, the way you work the broken rib. So you knit 1 row, and then the second row, you knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. And then you knit a row, and then you knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, and that's it. You just repeat those 2 rows. Now, for the body, where I struggled was at the same time, in every row that you knit, you do the increases at the raglans. And then the pattern says, repeat these 2 rows 30 times. 30 times. So I was just like, okay, we're just gonna keep repeating those 2 rows 30 times. I instead counted how many rows she had. So she had 8 colored rows, and then she separated for the arms and knit the body. So I did the 8 rows, but then when it came to counting my stitches, it seemed that I never counted in the 30 rows. I just did the 30 rows, but it seemed that I never counted as I was knitting how many I had on the arm, how many I had on the front, how many I had on the back. So when I got to my 8, I had like 80 stitches on one arm, 75 on the other, 93 on the front, like 86 on the back. Like my stitches were all over the place and nothing was making sense. I have no idea what happened. So sadly, we had to rip back, and I just thought, might as well rip back all the way back to the collar and just redo it simple and clean. Basically, once that was kind of ripped and restarted, I lost motivation in this shirt, which is why we got this one done. This one was further behind than the Friday tee, but funny enough, because of that mishap, this one got done and this one didn't. We finally got back to where we were before, which was where we break off for the arms, and then this is what we knit this week. Just a little bit, just a little few inches, and I think it looks really, really stunning, and I can't wait to have it done. So that would be the second tee that we knit this summer. My second work in progress is a sort of self-designed pattern. I don't know if I'm gonna make this a pattern or not, but I got inspired by the Rhoda jumper, Rhoda pullover. I just thought it was really, really stunning. I didn't have yarn for it. I think it's an Aran or a worsted weight yarn, and I don't have any of that. And then I was looking at my wall of swatches, and I remembered a couple months ago we actually knit up this band of 3 different swatches, and we ended up for the project going with this one, but I had really, really liked this one, and I wanted to make something with it, and I wasn't sure what to make. And then so I got the book that had all these designs, and I looked up how to work the stitch again, and I got inspired with this yarn. Now this is a yarn I picked up from Kensington Prairie Farm when I visited this year at their annual alpaca shearing. And then I calculated how many stitches I would need for my size in the round. I made a little bit of a rib at the bottom, which I think I might put an elastic in. We'll see once it's done. So far I kind of have to pull the yarn a little bit apart because the pattern just like pushes it together like this. But I'm sure once I wash and block it, it'll end up, you know, being nicely splayed out and laid out. So I love this yarn. I love how it is textured, and I love the colors. I love how like muddy and earth tone they are. I was also worried that it would be more stripe of a look, but I like the blotchiness. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm not crazy about bottom-up knits, but the reason why we decided to do this one bottom-up is because I'm not sure how I want the top to look. I'm not sure how deep I want the armholes. I think I want deep armholes. I'm not sure if I want like a thick collar, or I'm not too sure what I want just yet. So I thought, let's cast on the bottom, see how it goes, see what the texture is, what the material ends up being like, and then we can figure out the armholes, the collar. So that is why we decided to go bottom up. My original goal was to make this a loose, like an oversized pullover. So at least that's true for that. This yarn it's alpaca, wool, silk, and linen. So it's a really nice, interesting texture. Just because it's alpaca, I feel like this might grow a little bit more, so we'll see what happens with it. But hopefully the silk and the linen will kind of hold the alpaca true to itself, and we'll just give it a little bit more structure. So hopefully we can have more progress on that, and I can kind of decide what type of collar I want to have. So my third current whip is actually one that we casted on a while back. We knit up half of it, kind of put it on the side and forgot about it till recently when I saw over on Instagram, and you guys all seem to be knitting and thriving on sock summer. So we decided to knit the second sock. So this is where I am at. We just broke off for the heel and did the flap. So now we did the little heel turn, and then we will need to pick up the stitches around the round and knit the foot, and then we will be done. This sock is a pattern from the lovely book, 52 Weeks of Socks by Len. So it is the Snippet socks, which is week 45. I am not knitting these in order. This was the first sock that we knit up. I believe we knit this and casted it off in the spring to get me ready for summer, and we never knit the second one. I love, love, love. This sock is a super fun knit to knit up. It looks a little complicated, but it really, really isn't. It's basically just like a repeat of once you get it, you get it. I actually knit this one in like a day. So this is the only design that is really complex in it. It is the front, but yeah, it is totally doable in a day. It's basically just knits and purls with a little complex braid on the side that goes along the sock. It's not that hard. It's basically, so in rows of 3, you have 3 knits. So you take the third one, slide it over the 2, and then knit 1, increase like a yarn over, knit 2, and then that's it. That's the repeat, and then you keep knitting the sock. So this braid along the side kind of looks a little complex, but it isn't too much. Once you get it done once, you pretty much figure it out. And that braid actually does go down along the sock to the toe on both sides, but the triangle repeat is only on the leg. So on the foot, it is just stockinette, regular stockinette. The back is stockinette. The rest of the foot is just basically stockinette. This yarn is a gorgeous, gorgeous yarn that I actually got from Lily and Pine at Knit City last year, which I'm really excited to go to in September again. It is such a lovely, fun, poppy color, which is really interesting because the skein, if I remember, had a lot of gray to it, a lot of gray tones, and I was actually not expecting this much vibrance. This has been getting me back into my sock knitting mojo because, yeah, I have this lovely book and I don't use it enough. I am knitting my socks on my mini chiaogoo needles. What I like to do is have a longer one where I hold all my stitches and then I knit and pick up the stitches on a shorter needle. So this set does come with 2 different sizes of needles. So you have the longer ones and then you have the mini shorter ones. I haven't actually experienced or tested out double pointed needles. I know that that is another method in which people do knit socks. So the pattern is designed for double pointed needles, but what I do is I just, where it tells you how many stitches to have on 4, I just add those 2 sections together, do 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and I just split it like that. Because yeah, a few of the patterns in the book do call for double pointed needles, but you can totally do it on non-double pointed needles. Well, there's just something magical about knitting socks, and if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, cast on a sock. Knit a sock. I don't know. It's fun. I actually went and visited Squamish a couple weeks ago. Of course, I had to see if there was a yarn shop and go. Immediately as soon as we got there, I Googled yarn. Obsessed, I know. But we visited this cute, adorable yarn shop. I wish I had taken photos. Maybe I can put photos of, but the lady who works there is super, super nice. I highly recommend if you guys do go to Squamish, stop at the store. So when we went to Squamish, I was losing my voice that day, so I couldn't really talk much. And I sounded like a really, really old lady smoker. So I'm sure that the worker there thought that I was dying. Sweet threads, comfort in the making, and I picked up a few little things. First thing that I picked up was a new cable, just like a little bit of a longer one, just because I thought I just needed it. So I picked up a little bit of a longer sock cable. I also picked up my very first Knitty Knotty. So as you guys know, I do spin a little bit, and I wanted just a little mini Knitty Knotty to better measure my yarn. So this is the Ashford Knitty Knotty. So I got this so I could measure, so I could skein up my yarn, but also measure how much yarn I had. And surprisingly, at the store, it was a lot cheaper than they sell it online. It's not that it was on sale, it's just at this particular store, it wasn't as expensive as it was online. So perfect way to start skeining up. Instead of what I was doing is I have this mini table that I calculated one wrap around the 4 legs of the table. It's like a little desk table. is 36 centimeters. So I was counting and then doing the math to figure out how many wraps I did. And then I got this beautiful skein of sock yarn, which is what also kind of got me kickstarted into knitting the 52 weeks of socks. I was gonna cast this one on. I already have one sock. Before casting on a new one, let's finish the sock that we were knitting up. Crafty Jack's Boutique Heartfelt Sock. Tough enough for your feet, soft enough for everything else. It is 75% BFL wool, 25% kid silk mohair, and it just feels amazing. I can already tell that this is gonna be a really nice fuzzy looking sock. I got it because it was this beautiful, I just love this kind of minty mossy green color, and I believe this is called, the color is Gentle Rain. So this yarn is actually a yarn that was designed and created by the owner, Sweet Threads Comfort in the Making. It is actually the owner's yarn. She designed and decided to create this yarn with a friend. They wanted to make a yarn for socks that didn't have nylon in it, that is sturdy enough, so they created this beautiful, beautiful yarn, which is a BFL and mohair mix. So as I was looking through my 52 weeks of socks, I came across a few patterns that I thought would work. So the first one is the number 24 kuntum. So hopefully I can put a photo here, number 24 kuntum. So this here is leaves, number 44, leaves. So hopefully you guys can see that. So this is the other pattern that I'm considering for these socks. So these are the kuntum socks. I think that both of these designs would look splendid for this yarn, for this sock yarn. I think that both these designs would look beautiful. I haven't 100% decided which one, but I am in the mixed thinking before I cast this on, because I do have quite a few sock yarns, and I don't know, let's knit some socks. Let's get some socks going. I'm actually really proud of how July went. I thought that I really didn't do much, but now sitting here going through all of this with you guys, I really, really like making these videos. It really helps me gauge and see how much I actually get done, and just makes me feel a little bit better about myself, because sometimes I am so tunnel visioned on a certain project, I really, really don't know or can't grasp how much I actually got done in a month, and this just helps me feel more comfortable in my knitting, because I really do feel slow sometimes, especially when you look over on Instagram, seeing everybody posting all the time all their knits. It can get a little overwhelming, and yeah, doing these types of podcasts kind of grounds me and makes me realize, you know what, I'm not slow, I'm going at my own pace, and it is a fine pace for me, and I'm really, really happy about it. So thank you guys so much for watching. This was a lot of fun. Thank you again, Anna Luisa, for partnering with me, and use my promo code at the checkout, knitting with ep.07, to get 20% off on your next order. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!